Many of the people would know about Baba Amte. While going to his house, he came across a leprosy patient. While returning to the house, he, he felt guilty about this feeling. I'm a fearless man, and how can I be afraid of a man who was helpless? Baba got the possession of land in Hemalkasa, and he named that project as Loka Biradari project. I mean, the literal translation is that People's Brotherhood Project. So we found some of patients lying in front of their huts helplessly, waiting for death. So we tried to convince the parents or relatives of such patients, why can't you give us one more chance? But the challenges increased. But they came for fractures, they came for deliveries, they came for eye problems, dental problems. Said we have been asked to work for the forest department or other contractors, they take us for work, but they never give us money. They had never seen money before that. That was the first residential school, which was again, people were against sending their children to the school. So why do you want our children to be kept in this residential school? You may not return our children. And those animals like leopard and the bear and the crocodiles, which are supposed to kill human beings, which are cruel as people think, they actually love animals, love human beings.
Good evening, all. With immense pleasure, we welcome our honorable chief guests, Dr. Prakash Amte and Dr. Mandakini Amte, to our Tea and Talk series. Mr. and Mrs. Amte, doctors by profession and Raman Magsaysay Award winners for community leadership in 2008, dedicated their life for the welfare of people in Hemalkasa village in Maharashtra. Touched by the deplorable plight of the Madhya Gond tribal people, Mr. Amte started a project, the Lok Biradari Prakalp, in 1973, which resulted in a hospital, a residential school, and animal ark, an orphanage for injured and homeless wild animals. A biographical film based on their life, Dr. Prakash Baba Amte, the real hero, was released in 2014. Dr. Prakash Amte has received many national and international awards, which includes Padma Shri, Mother Teresa Award, and the ICMR Lifetime Achievement Award for his selfless service. He has penned two books, Prakashvata, Pathways to Light, and Ran Mitra, Jungle Friends. The legacy of Baba Amte still continues through his children and grandchildren. Let us give a big round of applause for our chief guest. Sir and ma'am, thank you for accepting our invitation. We are honored by your presence here and we are eager to listen to your experience on community intervention.
Namaskar. Yeah, we are really honored to have some interaction in Chennai with the people of Chennai. Actually, uh, it's a long history. Many of the people would know about Baba Amte, who was inspired by Mahatma Gandhi ji, and he started a leprosarium in Chandrapur district in 1949. And being a son of a landlord, his father naturally expected that he would expand his property and look after the land which he owned. Had a big bungalow in Nagpur, and he was enjoying his life before 42 movement. And when Gandhiji came to Sevagram, he learned about him, learned about the Bharat Chodo Andolan, and he was a lawyer. And he left everything after the independence, started a leprosarium. Uh, Actually, the incident of turning point was that he was living in Varora Taluka of Chandrapur district. While going to his house, he came across a leprosy patient who had severe injuries, maggots in his wound, and he really got scared. He put his blanket on his body and he ran away. While returning to the house, he, he felt guilty about this feeling. I'm a fearless man, and how can I be afraid of a man who was helpless? And that made him to come back again. To come over the fear, he took that man to his house, dressed his wound. Unfortunately, of course, the man was in last stage, he died. And then he decided to start a leprosarium. Being a lawyer, he had no training in medical field. But Vinobaji and Dr. Dharmendra, a leprologist, recommended him for a training program in Calcutta School of Tropical Medicine. So in 1949, he went there, had a 6 months training, came back, and that time CP and Beral government was ruling the Vidarbha state, and he was given 50 acres of forest land near Varora. Almost all the relatives boycotted him. He and his wife, that means my mother, she was also from a very good family from Nagpur. They had a love marriage in 41, 46, and she accepted the life, started the leprosarium with 6 patients, surrounded by wild animals, snakes, and no friends and relatives to visit the place. Myself and my brother, Dr. Vikas, we were very small, almost 2 and 3 years old. But he named this institution, on paper it is Maharogi Seva Samiti Varora. That is registered name. But it is more famous in the name of Anandvan, Forest of Joy. And we were brought up in that colony of leprosy patient. We had education in Marathi medium in a municipality school in Varora. And by the time we became maybe 16 years old, or we were in matriculation, some of the misunderstanding of the society has come down, and people started visiting Anandvan. Number of patients also increased. So we both brothers were in the same class, and then we decided to join Baba's work, preferably after if we could have got admission in Medical College Nagpur. And fortunately for him and for us, we got walk-in admission in Nagpur Medical College. And we had our graduation from 66 to 70 in Nagpur. There was the only medical college in the Vidarbha region. Baba and my mother felt very happy that both sons have become doctors, and now they are going to take over Anandvan. But we came to Anandvan for our final MBBS result. There was a vacation of 15 days. And he said, let us go for a picnic. Picnic in a forest, dense forest. So everybody loves forest, and for a couple of days nobody bothers. They enjoy actually. So he took us for a family trip to this place, Hemalkasa, which was known as Bhamragarh Forest. But 250 kilometers, we took almost 2.5 days to reach that place, because there were no roads, many rivers and small nalas to cross. And when we reached Bhamragarh, there was one of the most beautiful places of India, where the confluence of 3 rivers. Names are also beautiful. Indravati coming from Orissa, and then Parlakota and Pamul Gautami coming from Bastar area. So that place was really nice. It was the month of December, quite cool. So we lit a fire, and we slept by the side of fire, having clothes and sweaters and whatnot. Next day my father said, let us go and see the area, since we have come such a long area. He knew that some of the tribals live in this forest, but he never told us about that, their life. Our jeep went to first village, in the forest village. All of the people, young, old, children, they came out of their huts, and everybody was scared to look at so-called civilized people. People having clothes, sweaters and shawl, because the month of December the temperature was much below 10 degrees centigrade, and they were almost naked, Digambar. And we wanted to have some interaction with them. We tried to go near them. All of them vanished in the forest. It was quite strange for us. We have seen a lot of sorrows in the leprosy patient surrounded in Anandvan from different places. They were begging, they were driven out of their houses and villages, but they were leading very good, happy life in Anandvan. But this place, where the people had no disease as such, no deformities, why they are so scared of a civilized people, we couldn't understand. Went to next village and to the next village, and we couldn't have communication with any of a tribal pan. We came back to our camping place, lit a fire, and those impressions of the day, everybody was thinking about their situation, how this community, our brothers and sisters, I mean, we didn't know about their life, living without clothes, no food to eat, lot of malnutrition we could observe. And then suddenly Baba spoke that now that you both are becoming doctors and you have already decided to take over Anandvan, I think that we should do something for this tribe. The tribe is known as Madia community. It is one of the most primitive tribe of India. And suddenly I realized the intention of Baba's picnic. I said, Baba, you are approaching 60 years of age. At this age, people of India retire. And then you think of working for these people in such a difficult terrain where there are no roads, no electricity, no place to live. I am just 22 years old. I will carry out your work in this area. And Baba felt so happy that one of his son has given a word. So I could see the joy in his eyes. We returned back, our results were out, our internship started. We approached government of Maharashtra to give us a land in this Bambragarh area. As everybody knows, bureaucracy takes time. Our internship was finished, still there was no sanction of the land from the Maharashtra government. So I joined MS General Surgery, and where I met Mandakini Deshpande, my wife. She was from the same college, but we had not met before joining the post-graduation because she was senior to me, and there are 200 students in each batch, so there was no interaction with senior boys that time. But when she came for the post-graduation in anesthesia, I was doing for general surgery. We came to know both each other first time in 72, and gradually probably it has turned out to develop a love. And then Baba came to know about the affair. He called Mandakini to Anandvan. She is from Nagpur. Her parents and grandparents were also landlord. And then he called her to Anandvan and asked her whether, are you going to marry my son Prakash? She said, okay, I have given him word. But by the time Anandvan has well developed, the misunderstanding about leprosy had come down. And everything was available in Anandvan. Nagpur was just 100 kilometers away. Then Baba said that Baba Prakash has given me a word to work for the tribal people in Bambragarh area. Do you know that? She said he has, before I decided to get married, she had told me that he is doing work for the tribal area in Bambragarh area, and I have given my word. So Baba was a practical man. He said, since she has given a word, my mother said, actually should wait for elder brother's marriage. But Baba said, nothing doing. Now that she has given a word, we will have your wedding in 72 itself. So while studying post-graduation, we got married in Anandvan, breaking almost all the tradition. Muhurtam, all these things was Sunday. The marriage was in bridegroom's house. No dowry, nothing. No sweets because in 72 it was a year of famine in Maharashtra. So breaking all the traditions, we got married in 72 December. And where to take after the wedding for honeymoon? I said, let us go and see the area where we are going to work. So I took a four-wheel vehicle and we went to Bambragarh to show us the area where we are going to work after the government sanctions the land. And by the time I was doing MS General Surgery. Baba got the possession of land in Hemalkasa. And he named that project as Loka Biradari project. I mean, the literal translation is that People's Brotherhood project. Instead of naming or tribal service or something like that, he said, "Look, it's a People's Brotherhood. Let everybody come and take the advantage of our services." So that is how on 23rd of December 73, he got the position. I was just about to complete my MS. I left my education in the middle. I came back and constructed a small hut. That is how the beginning of Lok Biradari Hemalkasa in 73 December. My wife was, by the time she had taken diploma in anesthesia and had joined the lectureship, she resigned and joined me. And that is how we started a small clinic underneath a tree in 74. And we were expecting the patients should arrive. Unfortunately, we didn't know. They had a lot of suspicion about civilized, and they had never seen this allopathic medicine. They have their own traditional medicine. So not a single tribal patient came to our clinic. But some of the forest officers who were posted there on a punishment basis, forest guard and revenue keepers, they knew that these are two doctors, they have come to Bhamragarh to serve the tribal people. If something went wrong with them, they used to come for the treatment. And we knew that the language of Madia community is totally different. It's a dialect. The accent is South Indian, but it's not connected to any language. So we didn't know a single word of Madia dialect, and neither they did know about Marathi or Hindi. So it was really a testing time for us. Nobody came to take a treatment in the hospital. So we learned the language from these so-called non-tribal who were serving in the area, made a dictionary out of it, and we started roaming in different villages, try to study their culture, religion, what is that. So they have no religion as such. They are neither Hindus nor any named religion in front of them. So they have their own religion. They sacrifice animals. They had a practice of human sacrifice also. If somebody fell ill, he used to go to a local quack, where there in that area they call it pujari. So they used to go to him. He used to chant some mantras, ask for sacrifice of chicken or goat, sometimes a small baby for human sacrifice to please the god. And if the person is cured or a patient is cured, the credit used to go, he used to get the credit, and that's how tradition was going on. But the person who was really suffering from serious disease, after his trial, if he is not improved, he said, now that is God's mercy, you take him back. So we found some of patients lying in front of their huts, helplessly, waiting for death, actually. So we tried to convince the parents or relatives of such patients, why can't you give us one more chance? We will try our own best and then try to treat these patients who are now rejected by your pujari. So first patient who was unconscious, they put him on a bamboo cot and brought him from 30 kilometers. Tribal has a tradition of helping each other, so about 10 to 12 young boys carried him to the clinic in Hemalkasa. And we felt so happy that first patient has come. The next challenge was how to diagnose the patient, because there was no facilities of investigation, no electricity, no telephone to consult. Neither we knew the language very well. So we took the history, examined the man who was in deep coma, read the books, what may be the causes of coma, and then decided about the diagnosis. It is probably a cerebral malaria. There are a lot of mosquitoes in the areas. So this falciparum malaria is very serious. So we thought probably it's a falciparum malaria. Started the regime against malaria. And we were watching, one of our volunteers always used to remain on the bedside. And on the third day, he opened his eyes, started his movement. And on the fifth day, he said he got up and I am all right. He went back walking, carrying his cot on his shoulder. So that was an advertisement for the hospital. The man who was about to die in their, what their pujari said, a serious patient got cured and walked back same way where he was brought on horizontally. So more patients started pouring in the clinic, which were really under the tree with a bamboo table and open to the sky. But the challenges increased. They came with different illnesses. I had left my MS general surgery, so I knew little bit of surgery. Wife was anesthetist. But they came for fractures, they came for deliveries, they came for eye problems, dental problems. So we had bought some books, bought basic instruments, and since they used to come walking from a long distance, we never said no to anybody. Saying no was completely ethical. They said we are not a specialist, but knowing fully well that they had no alternatives, they couldn't come to the city for a treatment. We never said no to them. Tried to treat every patient. One of the tragic incidents that we were not a gynecologist. They had their own traditions of delivering the babies in their own house. But once after their trial, the woman didn't deliver. She was brought on a shoulder and then brought to our clinic. We saw that the baby was transferred, the hand was hanging, and it was more or less gangrenous. Such cases you require cesarean, which was not at all possible in that area. So before the invention of cesarean, we had learnt in medical college that there was a destructive surgery. You had to cut the baby in pieces and remove it and give the mother another chance. So myself and Mandakini, we discussed about the option, and then we told the relatives, mother, father and husband, this may save the life of a mother and she may have another chance. Are you ready for this destructive surgery? And they said, yes, okay, if you want. The mother is probably saved her. If you save her life of a mother, doesn't matter for this destructive surgery. But it was very difficult for us to do the destructive surgery, but we did that surgery. And Mandakini requested the mother that if next time if you become pregnant, please come for a regular checkup. And after 2 years, again she became pregnant, and she used to come monthly for a daily for the checkup. And then in the last month, we admitted her in our clinic, and she delivered a normal baby. That has reduced little bit of our guilt. And then the word spread in the area, mouth to mouth publicity. So the patient came from 150 kilometers. Number of villages were more than 1,000. We are right on the border of Chhattisgarh. The Bastar district is on the other side of the river. Telangana, which was, that time it was Andhra Pradesh, was the other side of Godavari river. So we used to get patients from all the 3 districts. All kinds of patients. Fractures diagnosed without X-ray because there was no electricity. Once a patient came with a bear bite. Sloth bear is dangerous in forest. These people always used to go to collect food, tubers and roots. Once in a while they were attacked by wild bear. So one such case came from 60 kilometers. Came means he was brought on shoulder. His both eyes were punctured and the scalp was hanging back. And he was carried to our hospital and he was talking in his language. We had never seen such case in our medical career. We washed the wound. There were no instruments or there was no medicine for anesthesia. But after washing the skin, we said, if you want to get cured, we want to stitch the wound with the needle and thread. They have never heard of needle or thread, never seen the cotton, so they didn't know what is thread. But we explained to the relatives that we are going to stitch the wound without anesthesia. If he can bear it, his wound will be healed within a week. So first stitch, there was no complaint from a patient. So I went on giving stitches, almost after 100 stitches. He just casually asked, how many more? I had never seen such an endurance, such tolerance. Impossible. But he endured it. He was given antibiotics and he went back walking, holding a hand of a relative. After about a year, some of the patients from that village came. Out of curiosity, I asked, how is that patient of a bare bed which was cured last year, who became blind? They said, sorry that he died recently. How did he die? He should have died at the time of bear attack. It was so severe. He survived such a severe attack, and how did he die now? Because he was blind. He couldn't go to the forest to collect his own food. The relatives didn't have sufficient to give him back the food. So he became very thin and he died of malnutrition. It was shocking for us. The reality, 25 years after the independence, people dying of hunger. So we both thought that the patients who are blind with cataract, a lot of cases of cataract in the villages, must be dying of starvation. And the city specialists, they wouldn't come to Hemalkasa because there were no roads, no electricity, no operation theatre. So we both decided, why can't we start doing cataract surgery here? We convinced one old lady, bought some instruments from Nagpur, and studied about the operation. We made one room sterilized, put the patient there, did the cataract surgery, old method. You have to remove the lens, give a stitch, and then plus 10 specs. They can see clearly after the operation, if the operation is successful. With a lot of tension, we did the surgery. Next day, we opened the dressing and she could see everything. We were so happy that the operation was successful. She went back independently walking with plus 10 specs. So there was no need for her to have an assistant to carry her back. But that was the sort of an advertisement. Now there is a treatment for a blind persons. So a lot of patients started coming for cataract surgeries. So that way we started doing everything, and then people came with different problems, non-medical problem. These people with such small loincloth, nothing much to eat, said we have been asked to work for the forest department or other contractors, they take us for work, but they never give us money. They had never seen money before that. But used to take just thumb impression and send them back. So that exploitation was going on there. So we made a regular complaint to forest officer and collector that such a thing happening. These so-called officers that time they were working in that area, asked them to work for the department, and they never paid them. So fortunately the collector and then the officers knew our work. They suspended the officer, and then our workers, we had 4 or 5 volunteers, they were inspired by Baba's work. We were working together and we decided to start a school in 76. So that was the first residential school, which was again, people were against sending their children to the school. So why do you want our children to be kept in this residential school? You may not return our children, or while going or coming back, they may be attacked by snakes and wild animals. So we had to convince them that you had no faith in the modern medicine. You were never. We came here out leaving everything, and there was no response from your side. Now you come in thousands. Why can't you give us one more chance to educate your children? If you don't like, your children doesn't like that, you can take them back. So we started with 25 children. Some of them ran away, of course, where they didn't like the disciplined life. But after 2 years, these Adivasis, they started bringing their children, and there was a long queue for the admission in our school. The school was not recognized, but the number of students started increasing, number of girl students also. So that way, 3 students of first batch, 76, we started the school in 76. 3 students, we sent them to Anandvan where there were 10 plus 2 facility of education. So one student after 12th came back and became a forest guard. Second one said, I want to become a teacher. And third one got admission in Medical College Nagpur, where we had our own education. And he came back as gynecologist. He did his post-graduation in gynecology, came back to the Gadchiroli district. He's still there. After 30 years, he has become senior class 1 officer. And he is like a Deepastamba. Everybody knew that the boy whose parents had nothing much to eat and no clothes to wear, given an opportunity, he became a big doctor, gynecologist. And there is a lot of awareness about education in the area. Many students have now become doctors, engineers, lawyers, forest guards, and police officers, and whatnot. Many of them have become national champions in athletics. They are very good in athletics. So the project, which had no planning as such, since we both were doctors, we decided to start a clinic and then a small hospital afterwards. But as per the demand of the people or the need of the people, as we say that you take the medicine after the food, and there was no food to eat. What were they eating? They were eating tubers, roots, ants, rats, and whatever they find in community hunting, bears and deers and whatnot. But since ages they were eating the animals, the number of animals came down. There were no birds because they hunted for ages ago. So naturally there was malnutrition. There was no birth record or a death record. No, almost the life expectancy must be below 40. But after some time, after the education, the Gram Panchayat started in the area. And the government has started the rural hospitals. And there is a lot of awareness about education. First there was awareness about health. Then next was the awareness about education. Third was we taught them farming, which we were not at all primitive stage. So we taught them farming. Our volunteers were very good, so they started teaching them the modern methods of farming, growing vegetables, fruit trees. So one by one, the project expanded like this. There was no planning, there was no funding as such. But visitors started coming to the project. Some of the funding agency came to know about the project, like Oxfam and Swissade. They also helped us. And the only thing that the project Hemalkasa, which was cut off from the world for 6 months for first 10 years, as soon as the monsoon started, all the rivers were full and nobody could go back to the city, or neither city persons could visit the Hemalkasa project. If in case of emergency somebody has to go by bicycle or on foot 70 kilometers and then catch the bus. That was the situation initially. My co-workers, they were volunteers from different places in Maharashtra. Never complained about the food because there was not much variety of food to eat. Only rice and dal we used to store before monsoon. But nobody ever complained about scarcity of food or variety in food. The philosophy behind not complaining was that for whom we came to serve this area, this Madia community, they had no 1 square meal to eat. Whatever they find in the forest, whether it's ants or rats or bear or deer, whatever it is, but we have at least sufficient food, rice and dal. There is no scarcity of that. So my colleagues, my wife, she is from city, Nagpur, a lot of sacrifice, never complained about the circumstances in the Hemalkasa area. So it was a teamwork, basically teamwork. So that way, it gradually, the work expanded. A lot of youths are helping the project now. My both sons, who were educated with the tribal, same school, had some problem in getting admission in the cities. But the elder one has become a doctor, and the younger one is an engineer. After completion of the education, they both came back and then later have taken over the work. Their partners, they are also from cities. The elder daughter-in-law is from Goa and she is a gynecologist. I felt so satisfied that because there was no gynecologist, there was no facilities, we had to do the district surgery. But 2003, my son got married to a gynecologist from Goa. And since then, we didn't have to do the district surgery. If in case of emergency, if a mother requires cesarean, my wife is an anesthetist, she gives anesthesia, and my daughter-in-law performs cesarean. The life of both the mother and child is saved. That way, the project is expanding without much planning. Younger son and daughter-in-law looking after the school project. There was a demand from two more remote villages to start a school for them. There are a lot of school of Jilla Parishad in the area, but the teachers coming from outside feel that it's a punishment posting. So naturally, the quality of education was not so good. So those tribals from the interior area said, "Why can't you start your school there? Our also school children want good education." So two more new school have started 6 years back in the name of my mother Sadhana Vidyalaya. And this Marathi language is foreign to Madhya people. So it takes 2 years, almost 2 years to learn Marathi and then go to further education. My daughter-in-law is from Pune. She said, we will start English medium school in Nelgunda. It's a remote area. This is also foreign language to Madhya people. And the good thing about this language is that they picked up the language in 3 months. They can speak very well English. So they are learning CBSE pattern in a remote area where the children and the parents have not even seen Chandrapur, but taking very good education, awareness about health, awareness about education, awareness about their rights, and stopping hunting for food. That is another big story about my animals. Most of my animals are made orphan. The mother of these babies or cubs were killed in community hunting. And they used to kill the babies also for food. So we came across a hunting party in a forest, and they had killed the rhesus monkeys. The young baby was suckling the dead mother. We stopped them. We couldn't, imagine that in India they kill even monkeys and cows for food. So we requested them to give us that baby. They said, our children are hungry in the villages. How can we give that? So I said, we give you rice and dal in exchange of this baby. And that's how we bargained it, and that was the first animal in my hut. It became friend with my dog, and since the patient started coming to the hospital, by then we requested them not to kill the young animals. The next animal was a deer fawn, and then the bear. All of these babies' mother were killed and eaten by them. So this orphanage, actually they were roaming freely in my house and coming for a walk. What were those animals? Monkey, dog, leopard cub, bear, and dogs. So they used to follow us to the river morning and evening. When children started coming to the hospital and we started the school, it was a risk of keeping bears and leopards free roaming in the area. So unfortunately, we had to keep them in cages. And now I am happy to tell you that hunting for food has completely stopped because of the education, because of the farming. But the animals which are there, they will be there till their death because they are so humanized, so lovely. The leopards still, they come for a walk in my field where there are no strangers around. The bears and different kind of crocodiles, hyenas, and almost about more than 100 animals are there in my family. And the only thing is that we can't send them back because they have no confidence in living back to the forest because there was no mother to teach them how to defend or how to attack. But these animals are really very nice. In the newspaper or in any breaking news, you always read or see a lot of violence in the world. And there's animals like leopard and the bear and the crocodiles which are supposed to kill human beings, which are cruel as people think. They actually love animals, love human beings. So this is really a contrast. So it's a message from the animal world that if you love them, if you don't disturb them, they won't ever attack a human being. And this is the 50th year of the project, Golden Jubilee year. We both are so happy that we led a very nice, useful life without expecting anything from people, neither from tribal, neither from the society. But people helped us a lot. We had no method to go to the people and give a presentation about the work. But somehow people came to Hemalkasa, and once they saw the work, many of them helped us either monetarily or as a volunteer. I was writing some articles on a newspaper depending on their own, limitations. But many thousands of people, they visit Hemalkasa, and as per their limitations, they help the project. This is a very rare incident that if you, without demanding, without telling people what you are doing, people has helped us. The third generation has taken over completely. And now that after 22 years, the electricity is there. So they have constructed a 50-bedded modern hospital with most of the facilities are there. The school also has a large area, big playground. Two of our athletes got admission in Khelo India. They were national gold champions in long jump and marathon. So they might get a chance in appearing for the next year's Olympic. They are getting training in Bhubaneswar. So all these things which we had never planned, but the end result is that it has become a very big project, and a lot of people listen for us from the youth, basically from the youth. A few years back, we were invited in the IIT Chennai because they had seen the feature film, some of the Marathi students, and they have shown to their fellow students the film, and they invited us for interaction. And since the local responsibility has been taken over by my sons and daughter-in-law, once in a while we go to have interaction with the youth in different places, and it's a great satisfaction for both of us. Thank you very much for inviting us for this TN talk, and all the best. Namaste.
And if we think we should contribute something to society, how we can link those people who are in the same mindset, and mostly the students.
Make our parents understand what we really want to do in life, not to make it more complicated, but to work for community.
Know how the tribal people have fallen prey for the climate change as well as the urbanization process that the civilized